Howdy ho, hi. Howdy, 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 howdy. So, yes, I am wearing a shirt. Okay. So, you guys seemed to really like the first part of this book, where I talked a little bit about what it is. I will link in the description if you want to see the first part of this video. Even though I think you can probably watch it out of order. I think just the book has 8 promises. That's part of this kindness pact. So, I don't know, but the author probably did put them in a specific order for a reason. Probably talks about other ones that mentioned before, but whatever. I'll still link it in the description if you want to try to keep in order with me. I'll be making one video a week until we finish this book, and then we'll move on to a different book. How's that sound? I did want to do this book with the one that I tapped on in my new series is going to be Frivolous Fiddling, which the next thing I'm going to fiddle with is a wallet that I got the other day. Honestly, I just bought it to fiddle with for the video because I don't really use wallets. I just have like a little purse. But anyways, off on a tangent. We'll just make this a little reading series. Sometimes I'll read positive things like this. The next one I'm going to read is kind of creepy, scary. And then we can go into more classic. Like, I've never read Harry Potter. So if you guys want to read that with me, that would be cool. Or if you have any suggestions, maybe we can vote on what to read next. Okay. For today, though, we will be on the first chapter of the Kindness Pact. The Kindness Pact. Okay, this first chapter is the first promise. Accept your imperfections. I am perfectly imperfect is the affirmation for today, this week. Okay. You are good enough. Feeling good about who you are and the life you live begins with your acceptance of yourself. You don't need to wait until you are perfect. You are good enough just as you are. As you read that statement, how did you respond? Did you start making excuses for why it couldn't possibly be true? Did you immediately launch into a list of reasons why you're not good enough and things you need to change about yourself, improve, or work on? Yes, I did. I hope it's okay if I add a little feedback while we go through this, and you guys can kind of reflect along with me. But for me, when I read that, first thing is, you don't need to wait until you are perfect. Even though I know that it's not possible to be perfect, I still strive for that, and I think it ends up hurting me ultimately. A lot, actually. But I still strive to be this person that I want to be and I feel like I should be right now. So to read that I'm good enough just as I am. My refrigerator just turned on. I hope that's not too loud. Just as I am, it's just hard for me to honestly to take that as true, because I know that I have so much to work on. So I don't want to accept that I'm good. For so many people, the desire to be perfect is so ingrained that they don't even realize it is something they are pursuing. For others, being perfect, or the acute recognition of exactly how far they are from this desired state, fills their every waking moment with disappointment and frustration in themselves. Perfection is an unachievable goal. Nobody can be perfect, not even you. Perfection is an unachievable goal. Nobody can be perfect, not even you. Breaking out of this cycle of confidence sabotage requires a new way of thinking, a way of thinking that leads to a healthier, confidence-enhancing relationship with yourself. When you embrace the kindness pact, you make the commitment to treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and respect as you do the other important people in your life. Do you expect your friends, your partner, your boss, your colleagues, your children, or your parents to be perfect? I doubt it very much. Of course, they will have flaws that annoy you, frustrate you, or downright drive you insane. But for the most part, consciously or subconsciously, you will have accepted this as a part of who they are. When my husband and I first began living together, which seems like forever ago, I noticed at the end of each day, he would relax on the sofa and take off his socks and leave them there. If I didn't pick them up, by the end of the week, there would be 7 pairs of socks piled up by the side of the sofa. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. Now, my husband is a modern man. He doesn't expect me to wait on him hand and foot. He doesn't wreak havoc wherever he goes. He's actually generally tidy. He's a handsome dad. Nappies have never scared him, and he is the perfect partner in so many things, except when it comes to socks. Now, most people who are reading this, except for the true neat freaks amongst you, are probably thinking something along the lines of, yeah, but it's just a couple of pairs of socks. He sounds like a pretty good catch to me. My thoughts exactly. And exactly my point. We don't expect the people in our lives to be perfect. As intelligent adults, we know it is unreasonable to expect the people in our lives to be perfect. As frustrating as it can be sometimes, we know that people in our lives will have a whole range of qualities. Some we like, a few we really don't like, and many that we are indifferent about. Like it or not, we know we have to accept these flaws as part of the whole package. Some things are easier to accept. I'm sure I'll be telling the story about the socks at our 50th wedding anniversary, and others are much tougher. But except for truly heinous character flaws, accept them, we know we must. It is no less unreasonable to expect yourself to be perfect than it is to expect perfection from the people you love. It is no less unreasonable to expect yourself to be perfect than it is to expect perfection from the people you love. And yet, so rarely do people offer themselves the same generosity. In my work, and for that matter, my day-to-day conversations, I hear people beat themselves up over all manner of things, often directing the same ferocity to ordinary stuff-ups and minor foibles as they do major mistakes, and with no sign of the kindness and acceptance they would show the other people they value in their lives. It is unreasonable to expect the people you love to be perfect, and it is equally unreasonable to expect perfection of yourself. If you want to feel good about yourself and develop the kind of self-esteem that is robust enough to withstand the challenges that may be thrown at you in life, you need to recognize many of the things you perceive as flaws as an intrinsic part of who you are. Learn to accept your flaws with love and grace. Learn to accept your flaws with love and grace. If one of your closest friends was asked to describe you, do you know what they would say? Fucking spastic. If If they were feeling particularly honest, they might include one or two of your flaws, but by and large, their description would focus on your positive qualities and all the reasons they have chosen to be your friend. Likewise, if you were asked to describe one of your closest friends, I'm sure you would respond in much the same way. Treat yourself as your own best friend. Nurture and protect your self-esteem by focusing on your positive qualities and accepting that while you might have a few less than positive ones, these really are a part of the parcel of being you. You are good enough just as you are. Your confidence and self-belief are dependent on your acceptance of this statement as fact. This isn't just true for some people, it's true for everyone. Gwyneth Paltrow, Academy Award-winning actress and founder of the popular website GOOP.com, admitted to InStyle that accepting herself as she is and for who she is something she is still learning how to do. I'm hard on myself, so I'm working on shifting perspective towards self-acceptance with all my flaws and weaknesses. The very concept of self-acceptance can be an overwhelming idea for so many people. As you read this statement, many thoughts and feelings may be presenting themselves to you. You might be thinking, if I'm not perfect, then what will I be? If there's nothing wrong with me, then why is my life not perfect? The reason your life isn't perfect is because there is no such thing as perfect. Perfectionism is an unachievable goal. Nobody can be perfect, not even you. You are good enough just as you are. Finally coming to this realization and accepting that you will never be perfect can be an incredibly liberating experience. The quest for perfection is a lost cause. It's entirely subjective and completely unachievable. You don't need to be perfect to be a good person. The you that you are right now is good enough. Is anybody taking this into heart? Because it's hard for me to really, I'm going to be like battling this book. Get your fists ready. When you are a motivated person, someone who likes to do things well or who has ambitions for their life, it's easy to think that not only do you have to give 150% effort, you need to give everything 150% effort. You don't. I do. If you try to be perfect at everything you do, not only will you fail, you'll be placing yourself under enormous pressure and stress. And to what end? So you can be brilliant at things that, when it comes down to it, don't really matter to you? Perfectionism and self-confidence cannot coexist. Perfectionism and self-confidence cannot coexist. I feel like it could. If you don't take perfectionism as like the literal meaning, but like try my best at everything and don't fail. Definition of perfectionism. Of course, there are some things that it is important you excel at. For me, this list includes things like the kind of parent I am to my children and partner I am to my husband, the kind of environment I create for my family, and the quality of support I provide as a friend. It's very important that I do a great job at sharing my thoughts and ideas in things like this book and in programs and courses I run at, it's a website name. Okay, shameless little plug there, Miss Dominique Bertolucci, which is the name.com. Okay, she does courses. Red squid. Triggered squid. Anyways. I don't need to be perfect at these things, but I really do want to do them brilliantly. Okay, she's getting more of me. I want to do them good, and I'm not doing them good. So that's where the word comes. But these are not the only things I do with my time. Like most people, if I let myself, I can be pulled into a million different directions at once, asked to participate in 101 different initiatives, and be drowned by admin paperwork and the other minutiae of day-to-day life. The difference is, I know I don't need to be perfect at all of these things. The honest truth is that for most of it, it doesn't even matter if I'm particularly good. I'm not saying I'm careless, sloppy, or slapdash. Have you ever heard that word? It's literally... Oh, sorry. Where is it? Slapdash. I have never heard of that word well. Simply that I choose a few things that I want to excel at and accept that I may never be more than average at the rest. Decide what you want to be brilliant at and be okay with just being okay at the rest. I think, okay. Decide what you want to be brilliant at and be okay with just being okay at the rest. The list above is just my list, and yours may be entirely different. You may want to excel at your career, enjoy peak fitness, and have the most stylish and stunning wardrobe. Or it could be that you choose to focus on your family, your community, and your garden, and can happily let the rest take care of itself. The important thing to remember is that you don't have to be perfect at anything, let alone try to be perfect at everything. Instead of judging yourself for what you can or can't do, appreciate the commitments you make and the efforts you take with the things that are important to you. Okay. Some people pursue perfection, the perfect job, perfect relationship, perfect home, or perfect body, in the hope that it will make them feel good about themselves, make them happy. In fact, the opposite is true. For as long as you try to be perfect, you will always fall short of your expectations. Whenever you feel that you have been less than you could have been, no matter how unrealistic those expectations may have been, you create an emotional experience where you feel inadequate, inferior, or less than. A state that actively erodes your confidence and self-esteem. My client Susan had spent her whole life trying to be perfect. Whether it was getting top grades when she was a student, earning accolades at work, or getting back into her size 8 jeans after her children were born. Susan had all but exhausted herself trying to do it all, be it all, and have it all. Perfectionism is the enemy of happiness. Perfectionism is the enemy of happiness. As the years passed, it became harder and harder to maintain this veneer of perfection. With 5:30 a.m. gym workouts and midnight bake sale cooking sessions, it was clear to everyone around her that she was heading for a serious case of burnout. I expressed my concerns to Susan, but she wasn't ready to listen. Seeking perfection is a vicious cycle. Seeking perfection is a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. You don't believe you are good enough as you are, so you try to be perfect. Perfection is impossible to achieve. Okay, we Get it, Dominique? You spell your name weird. Spell it like a normal person. Dominique. Perfection is impossible to achieve, so you fail to do or be all that you set out to be. Having failed, you don't feel so good about yourself, and on the downward spiral, it goes. Susan's exhaustion finally caught up with her. She found herself in bed for a week with a nasty case of pneumonia. Jeez. She began the week feeling anxious, emotional, and seriously stressed out. But as it progressed, she found herself relaxing and actually enjoying the fact that her doctor had ordered her to do nothing. There's a little, misprint there. Wee. That's weird. From her new calm perspective of dying of pneumonia, Susan could see that her children had been fed and homework had been done. Her colleagues had pitched in and her workload had been shared around. Rodents hadn't taken over her home. Sure, her daughter hadn't gone to school with perfect braids, and her son had attended football training with mismatched socks. The report she had been working on hadn't included all the information she would have included, but even from her sick bed, Susan could see that these things didn't really matter. Not in the greater scheme of things. The person you are, right here, right now, flaws and all, is a worthwhile, valuable, and valid human being. Let's read that again. The person you are, right here, right now, flaws and all, is a worthwhile, valuable, and valid human being. Returning to work with a promise to her doctor to take it easy, Susan made another promise, this time to herself. From now on, she was going to give her best efforts to the things that really mattered, and was no longer going to exhaust herself trying to be perfect at the rest. The easiest way to escape the debilitating nature of perfectionism is to remind yourself that you are good enough. No, Dominique. You guys are good enough. When you're not being assholes, you guys are good enough. But no, Dominique. No one is saying that there aren't things you could improve or that your character is flawless. Okay. She's getting more real here. I like that. But if you never become a better person than you are today, thinner, richer, healthier, smarter, more committed, more efficient, more dedicated, less impatient, less stubborn, if none of this ever changes, you will still be just fine as you are. It's just hard for me to accept this, because there's so much that I need to work on, so much. This doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement or that you can't continue to grow and develop as a person, simply that the person you are today is good enough. You are good enough. You, not me. This can be hard to remember. We live in a society where we are bombarded by messages and images from the media designed precisely to make us feel like we are less than or not good enough in some way, in their attempt to make us think if we just got some of whatever it is they're selling, our lives would be better and we would be one very significant step closer to our holy grail of perfection. Listen to your inner dialogue, and you will be surprised how many times you find you are either trying to be perfect or apologizing because you're not. It's so unnecessary. You don't criticize your friends and loved ones for failing to meet some idealistic version of perfection, so why should you criticize yourself in that way? Don't apologize for who you are or criticize yourself for who you are not. Don't apologize for who you are or criticize yourself for who you are not. There is a big difference between accepting your imperfections and not wanting to improve yourself or grow as a person. I'm a passionate believer in lifelong learning, and a part of my quest is to continually discover how to be a better version of myself, whether that means expanding my knowledge and learning new things, taking on a new physical challenge, or getting a better understanding of my thoughts and my feelings so I can have even better quality relationships. I wholeheartedly encourage the desire to improve and grow, but it must come from a healthy place, where you recognize all your positive qualities and seek to develop as a person, not one where you make a huge list of all the ways you fall short and then systematically try to perfect yourself. Okay, I'm liking where this is going. You are not broken, and you do not need to be fixed. You are not broken, and you do not need to be fixed. In my work as a coach, I've seen so many people take low self-esteem and perfectionism and dress it up as an interest in self-help and personal improvement. You are not helping yourself if you use this information to make yourself feel bad or as if you are lost, failing, or inadequate in some way. The thirst for knowledge is a wonderful thing. Quench yours, but be clear about what you are drinking and why. Some skeptics might scoff that here I am a self-help author myself, writing about not becoming addicted to self-help. But as an alcohol manufacturer must put a drink responsibly label on their bottles, I am making an improve responsibly declaration on behalf of myself and my peers. I always remind my clients to put their strengths at the top of their mind and to focus on how they can develop and further enhance their positive qualities before looking at ways they can improve anything else. When thinking about the things that you do want to improve, first make sure that your goals are reasonable and that you are not trying to be perfect or set yourself up to some exacting standard. Then ask yourself if improving this part of your life is really important to you. Because if it doesn't really matter, why bother? And finally, ask yourself what life would be like if you didn't change this part of your life at all. I like that. While there might be things you would like to improve or change about yourself, remind yourself that it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with the current version. Think of it like a software upgrade. The old version of Word works just fine. The newer version has just had a few tweaks and a couple of fancy new tricks added. Once you are clear that you really do want to make positive changes in your life and make them for the best possible reasons, you can begin your quest confident in the knowledge that you are enhancing your true self, not eroding your self-esteem. Confident in the knowledge that you are enhancing your true self, not eroding your self-esteem. Think of self-improvement like polishing a diamond. You are already brilliant. You just need to learn how to shine. Okay, I like that. Think of self-improvement like polishing a diamond. You are already brilliant. You just need to learn how to shine. Not every experience in a full, well-lived life is going to be a beautiful one. Not every feeling is going to be a loving one, and not every aspect of a person is going to be a lovely one. As a whole person, a living, breathing human being, real human being, a living, breathing human being, not a two-dimensional character created by an advertising agency or movie company. You are multifaceted. Some of those facets will be brilliant, and others less so. The answer is to learn to love yourself for who you are and all that you are. The good, the bad, the weak, the strong, the ugly, and the beautiful. Some experiences in life are uplifting, and others will make you positively miserable. Anger is a healthy part of life, and a good cry usually comes with puffy eyes and a runny nose, and for some reason in my case, swollen lips. Are you allergic to your tears? That's what happens when I eat. Actually, I'm not going to tell you guys that, because then you'll send it to my P.O. box and kill me. And yeah. These are not the most beautiful parts of ourselves or our experiences, but that doesn't make them any less important. Likewise, when it comes to an assessment of our character or personal qualities, they won't all be wonderful. We'll all have done things we're embarrassed about, said things we shouldn't have, and been less than our best selves in one way or another. You wouldn't be human if that wasn't the case. But rather than beat yourself up, take some time to understand what triggered your behavior, how you can learn from it or prevent it in the future, and whether or not you need to make an apology. Once you've done that, you can let it go. I won't sing Let It Go, don't worry, I hate that song. There is nothing to be gained by agonizing over mistakes and kicking yourself for things that you have gotten wrong or should have done differently. Learn your lessons and move on. That I definitely need to do. If you find yourself making the same mistake over and over, this still doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you're not learning as quickly as you might. Accepting your imperfections doesn't mean you allow them to run rampant. Good. If you find that some of your character traits, habits, or behaviors are less than desirable, and that you really would benefit from conquering them, this is most definitely what you should aim to do. Just know that it doesn't mean you are a bad person who is trying to be good. You simply have attributes or qualities you would like to work on and improve. If you strive for perfection, you'll never be happy. If you focus on being happy, you won't care about being perfect. If you strive for perfection, you'll never be happy. If you focus on being happy, you won't care about being perfect. Frank was a great salesman. I hope she's changing these people's names because I'm from America, and we can sue. Frank, the husband of Susan. Frank was a great, I'm just kidding, he's not actually the husband. Okay, sorry. Frank was a great salesman. In the competitive world of pharmaceutical sales, his persistence, drive, and determination stood him in good stead, and he was consistently one of the top performers in his company. Frank knew that the answer to closing the deal was not to take no for an answer, and instead to repackage or reposition his offer until it hit the mark with his client. He was comfortable with this approach and confident that it worked well for him. At least it did at work. Most strengths have a flip side. Learn to accept yours. Most strengths have a flip side. Learn to accept yours. In his personal life, Frank was feeling unhappy and confused. He had separated from his wife the year before, and although he had dated a number of women, now that his divorce was finalized, he was once again looking for a serious relationship. He had been on a couple of first dates, but each time he had proposed a second date, Frank had been turned down. To someone who wasn't used to taking no for an answer, being on the receiving end of rejection was quite a shock, and his confidence had taken a beating. As I asked Frank to tell me a little bit more about these first dates, it quickly became obvious where he was going wrong. Frank had approached these dates in much the same way he did a meeting at work. Although he had attempted to be charming and complimentary, what was successful in a sales meeting was coming across as overbearing, insistent, and pushy over dinner for two. When Frank first realized exactly how he had been going wrong, he was embarrassed and told me he felt like a fool. Of course, he wasn't a fool, but he did need to learn that what was a strength for him at work was not serving him well in his personal life, and that the flip side to being a great salesperson meant that he was often in sales mode, even when it wasn't appropriate. I can see a parallel with this in me, but in an opposite way. Frank and I talked about how his other good qualities, like being quick to put someone at ease, being willing to laugh at himself, and being thoughtful and considerate, would be more helpful qualities to call on when he was out on a date. Frank went on a few more first dates, but this time he met a woman where the chemistry felt right, and his companion accepted his invitation to a second date, a third date, and many more after that. So often, it is our very strengths that lead directly to our less than strong points. I'm really not a fan of the term weakness, unless we're talking about my weakness for chocolate fondue. The outgoing person can become overwhelming. The strong leader is sometimes bossy. The highly organized person occasionally micromanages. The nurturer becomes overly emotional, and the person with an attention to detail finds themselves nitpicking over everything. Instead of thinking of yourself as having strengths and weaknesses, think of your positive qualities, each of which has its own flip side. Once you realize that many of the things you are not so keen on about yourself are a direct or indirect result of the things you don't mind so much or even quite like, it becomes much easier to accept and even embrace your imperfections as an intrinsic part of what makes you, you. The first promise is all about accepting yourself for who you are, in all your imperfect glory. Anytime you find yourself striving for perfection, remind yourself that you are good enough exactly as you are. Accept your imperfections and commit to appreciating all of the qualities that make you, you. Okay, so that was the first chapter about accepting your imperfections. The second chapter that we will go on to next week will be the second promise. Always do your best. I always do my best, and my best is always good enough, is the affirmation. So our affirmation of today is, I am perfectly imperfect. I am perfectly imperfect. I hope you enjoyed today's little reading. Still kind of deciding how I want to go about this, because while I'm reading, I think there's a lot that I want to say, but that's me in general, because I have no friends and I don't really talk about this stuff, so I talk about it with you guys or a camera. I think to me, what's so difficult to accept who I am right now is that a few years ago I felt like I wasn't a good person. I was just really depressed and didn't want to talk to anybody. I was reclused, and I don't know, I feel like I was broken. I did need to be fixed, and I don't think I was good. I was good where I was, or with who I was. I was negative and sad and broken, and I think that's where my heart comes, where it's hard for me, because I can look back at a time where I think, you weren't good where you were. You weren't a good person. You were just kind of rotting in your bed. You weren't a good friend. You worried your family. You weren't very productive. You went down in your grades. You often didn't go to class. You didn't eat healthy. There's a lot, and I don't know. I think I needed to realize, yeah, I'm not good. I don't like who I am. But I think there is like a healthy way of doing it. Not hating yourself, but realizing, I don't know. But I think I like the approach that this book is taking. I'm glad that it's qualifying it a bit, saying, you're good as you are, which I think as a blanket statement isn't a very good one. But to say, when she qualified it a bit more and said, this doesn't mean to sit there and, love your imperfections and not improve as a person, which I think that's what's important. I think that's what the highlight should be, is don't, beating yourself up isn't helping. You don't need that. Maybe sometimes you need a good, slap on the back, or, I don't know, slap awake to shake it off. But not constantly berating yourself, which I think sometimes I do, because that doesn't do anything. If you're too harsh on yourself, that doesn't motivate you to be better. It just makes you feel shitty, and you just sit there in your self-loathing. There's a balance, I think, with it all. There's something in my eye. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it's okay that I talk about my feelings about the book, and it doesn't distract you too much. You guys can give me feedback on that. But I feel comfortable talking about my own, I guess, what's that word? Not my own take on it, there's a word for it. I'm sorry, I'm being weird. Perception. What is that? It's a word that translation? No. I'm forgetting. But you get it. Those are synonyms to it. Putting my own take on it. But I think I'm okay with doing that, because that's what my channel's about, is to be me and kind of infuse myself and my feelings and my personality into every video that I do. And I think people can appreciate that. And I think what I'm learning to do is to accept that a lot of people might not like that they just kind of want to escape in a more, I don't know, not mechanical, but to an ASM artist that doesn't infuse himself in it, because it's just too overwhelming. They just kind of want to listen, whatever, just read me the book. I don't care about your opinions. And that's fine. Everyone has their own ASM artist, and I know because I'm going this route, it might not give me, the most subs, or I don't know, as I'm trying to make this my job, might not make me the most money, but I think in the long run, this is a good decision for me, because it helps me not get burnt out. It helps me enjoy what I do, and appreciate the people that support me and that like and watch my videos that much more, because I know that I'm putting myself into the videos, if that makes sense. Not bashing any other ASMR artist, though I would like to think that I can encourage more people to put their personality, put their thoughts, put their feelings in their videos, rather than just thinking they need to be perfect. They need to sit there and their nails need to be painted perfectly, their face needs to look perfect, they always have to look great and speak perfectly, don't stutter, need to just, because I think that's what took me so long to get to make a YouTube channel, was because I was like, all of these ASMR artists are perfect. I can't be this. I cuss all the time. I'm silly and clumsy and I'm not very good with all this and this. But it is pretty exciting to know that I have such I was never expecting to have this big of a community, and it's awesome. It is so, it's like a hug to my heart every day, and I thank you guys so much for watching and being a part of this channel. Not just watching, but truly being a part of this channel, whether you comment or not, whether you sub or not, just listening, giving me the time, and letting me be me. And I hope I can encourage you to be you. And we can all... My camera wanted me to shut up because I'm rambling a lot, so I'm gonna leave now. I hope you enjoyed this. Next week I'll try not to ramble so much. I hope you guys have a great day.